Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for taking time and being here with us today.
Hi, Valerie. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I'm very excited to have you because you have done so much in your life and you're an intuitive coach, right? So I always love to meet intuitive coach and you have a book and all of that. So we're going to talk about a lot of that. But to start with, I want you to tell us on your own word, what is there that you do?
Yes, so I am the founder and CEO of House of Indigo. We
Okay.
are a publishing house for spiritual and wellness entrepreneurs. I'm also an intuitive coach, a channel, a best-selling author, USA Today best-selling author, and
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm a mom.
The most important job.
Yes,
The most
exactly.
important job, because I bring a lot of coaches to my podcast. We bring experts from all over the world, and being a mom and doing this kind of job is so amazing because as a woman we wear so many hats, having kids, doing this, doing that. And I always love to hear people to say, so you're not alone, you're a mom, you're doing your work. But we bring people that always say that, well, I'm a mom, I work. And I know sometimes it gets overwhelming and sometimes it gets hard, but the reward is so much more
Yes.
than what we do. But so you are an intuition coach. My thing is that a lot of people, when you say that word, they
Mhm.
kind of like think that, well, I don't know how to work that. What is the process that you like? What is that? How people can work with their intuition? Some people say, I don't have that. Some people say, I do have that. Some people say, I don't know how to like kind of align my mind, body, and soul with myself. What is the process of that, and what can we look for?
Yeah, so everyone is intuitive, period, or has the ability to. It's so often we push those aspects of ourselves away. They get covered by the masks. They get covered by programming or shame or guilt or all of these other things that make it hard for us to access our true power, our internal guidance system, and really utilize it in the way that it can be. And so when I'm working with someone within this realm, we're doing things, well, sometimes, it's very divinely guided. I channel a lot of the sessions and what comes through for guidance. But it's usually, we're working on mindset issues. We're working on clearing their energetics, like removing cords and promises and vows and all of these energetic entanglements that aren't really
Mm.
serving us and are standing in the way of really accessing who we are. We're also looking at, what are the things that make you joyful? Like what are the things that you've always wanted to do or have been drawn to? And how can we start bringing more of those into your life? Because as you're doing those, as like you're filling yourself up and you're working to kind of pull some of these other things off, it really just allows so much of it to bloom naturally.
So beautiful. That's so beautiful. So what inspired you to like choose this path for yourself?
What inspired me to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not really sure I had a choice. And I laugh about that, but people who really feel like they're on a strong, who are very spiritual and feel like they're drawn onto their path will definitely appreciate that. Um,
I'm
but
one of them, by the way.
yeah, I know you are. I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
yeah, it's just kind of like, yes, there's choice in it, but then also, if you decide not to do that choice, that you're never going to really feel fulfilled in the way
Right.
that you could. But as far as my life experiences, it's been something that I've really just been drawn to since I was a child.
Mm.
Um, you know, my father was sick when I was a child. He had an autoimmune disease and ended up passing away when I was 8.
I'm
And
sorry.
oh, thank you. But he would sit there and he would actually look out the window. And I write about this in the younger self letters. And he would look out the window and wish for some, you know, extraterrestrial being, some higher power, whatnot, to come with this advanced technology and heal him.
Mm.
And I didn't really understand it, you know, I didn't really like
Right,
fully
right.
understand what he was doing. But I always really felt like, even as he was getting sicker, I was like, oh, he's just sick for a little while. Like, he's going to be fine.
Right, right.
I really thought that he would heal. And it was very confusing to me when he didn't. And so I think partially because of that, I have been kind of on this lifelong quest to kind of understand how our bodies work, how the energetics work, how can we fully have our power harnessed in a way that we're living
Mm.
the lives that we're here to live.
Wow. Yeah, this is always sometimes it's just like when we live our life based on like a script of life, how we born and we grow up and we do the things, and then sometimes the universe give us those signs. It's like, there's more to you than this. You can look for more, and unfortunately sometimes we go through trauma things to realize it. Other time it just like you feel so good without having nothing, or without or going someplace, or seeing something, a child smile or a pet or something, and you're like, oh my god, like this is different feelings that are just like no money can buy it, and no work can define it or anything like that, and you chose that journey. So for me, just like yourself, was my son. He was born, and then he was 3 months old, he got pneumonia, and he passed away. Yeah. So it was like I always knew there was something, there's something, like there's something that you can sit and talk to it, and it's with you all the time. It's been with you, it is with you, it will be with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just have that. It was that kind of like my a made up friend. You know how people in the childhood, they make their friend. My spirit was like that with me for the whole time, because I had no friends or anybody to talk to, and a lot of stuff. So I would literally visualize my spirit as in like another person sitting in front of me, and I would talk to my spirit, and it was really healing for me. I find it really, and I tell this day I still do. I really still do, and it's like that's myself is my best friend. So I call it that. But that's amazing that you went through the journey of seeing your father and going to this amazing journey. And you wrote a book, and the book calls The Soul Mission. Like, tell us about that. Like what is the book about?
So that book, I actually did not write it. I published, and so it is. There's
Correct.
20. Yeah.
Let me correct myself.
Yeah.
The book, you had 25 authors on that book, right?
21.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
21 author in the book, and you published it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I found fascinating. Because I said to you, we spoke before, and I said to you, I'm going to read this book because all these authors are in that book, and I want to know everybody's perspective, how they explain this book and been written.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. It's 21 different authors, and they are all coming from different life perspectives, different places within their spirituality, and how they feel that they are on a soul mission, and what they are doing in their lives and in their work to really heal the world, to start to bring around a new level of consciousness and awareness within people, and how through that we are collectively creating the new earth.
So this book, 21 authors, and they're like, this one word that caught my attention is the awareness, and that's what I practice, and that's what I teach my clients, awareness. Tell us a little bit about the awareness from your own experience of what do you mean by that? Because a lot of people in the spiritual journey are a little bit confused with that, because they're saying that, well, I am aware of myself. What do you mean by that? What is your perspective when it comes to awareness?
My perspective is yes, it starts with us, awareness of all of the different things within ourselves, our mindset, our energetics, our bodies, like having full awareness of all of our systems. But it goes well beyond that. It's awareness of, you know, how we're making parenting choices. You know, it's awareness and consciousness are very kind of intertwined for me. So it is having the perspective to look at, you know, every single thing that I do has a bigger impact and it has a bigger ripple, whether it is, you know, supporting the evolution of the planet, or it is like hurting, or, you know, in whatever context that is. And having the ability to see and to perceive how we are all connected, and how every single thing that we are doing for within ourselves and around ourselves is really impacting the whole.
Mm.
Whether it's, you know, choosing to only buy like fair trade items, or, you know, choosing to shop from organic farmers instead of genetically modified, or, you know, whatever it is, there's all of these different levels of awareness and consciousness that we can have and bring into our lives.
Mm. So beautiful, because consciousness for me, as like you said, consciousness and awareness kind of goes hand to hand, right? It kind of goes hand to hand, because once you're conscious of yourself, know you're conscious. Okay, I'm aware of my body, soul, and mind. The mind makes a decision, the body feels it, and the soul brings it, you know, kind of manifests everything together. So, like you said, for me, I study Deepak Chopra. He talks a lot about conscious. He really talks about the conscious. So for me, it clicked when I really realized that our conscious, ourself is not just us, it's all together. Like you are me and I'm you, and we all together. So if we are hurting ourselves or thinking negative or doing something that is not good for us, it can affect the whole universe. And right now, especially right now, it's a good timing, because with the pandemic and corona, it's like the energy travels.
Mm-hmm.
So every one of us has part in that we have feelings, that we have thoughts, that we have emotions, that we're putting out there. So that's why it's so important to be aware of that. And I think that's what I love about awareness, like you said, to be aware when you get up in the morning and you say that if I think negative about myself, or I think something that is wrong, you literally sending a message, and all of us and end that. So for me, that was really, really big when I realized that I am not alone. We are together. Me and you, we're together. What I send is affecting you. What you feel is affecting me collectively. I mean, not literally, but collectively. So that's why I ask you about the awareness, because a lot of people, when they go to the spiritual journey, that is one thing that, you know, they practice spirituality, but they're not feeling fulfilled, because understanding that we all together. So now I'm gonna ask you, what should people do to practice that, like that part of the spirituality? What is the spirituality? Why people should practice it? And some people are almost, you know, afraid that they're saying that, well, it's a fluff. It's a fluff. It's like, you know, just like everything else. It's like, I don't know if it's gonna work or on that. So how does that work?
So yeah, it's, you know, so much of it is perspective, like anything. You know, when we have that perspective that we are all connected, everything just begins to change. The way, like you said, that we treat ourselves, the way that we treat each other, the way that we interact with every single interaction and every person, we understand. It's like, I almost visualize it as like every single like thought or action that you do, like it's almost like this like little like bubble that goes out. It's like these
Mm.
little like energetic bubbles. And, you know, you have the choice of, you know, am I going to feed into the fear mindset? You know, you're talking about the coronavirus and all of that. Am I going to feed into that? Or am I going to stay in my truth and stay in my knowing and stay present and send out love and try to raise the frequency and raise the vibration of that? So, you know, that's one aspect of it. And I think that when people think that spirituality is just fluff and that it's not going to help them, you know, they're maybe looking at like the spirituality that I really noticed, like probably like 5 to 10 years ago, was just like, oh, you just have to think happy thoughts all the time and pretend that nothing bothers you and just
Mm.
like be like, hmm. And um and honestly, like, so much of that is spiritual bypassing. It's like, we are human, we have emotions, we have feelings, and our feelings aren't bad. They're a part of what creates this human experience, and they're part of our radar to
Mm.
be able to hone in on, you know, okay, I'm feeling really angry around this situation. What's going on? Did I allow someone to overstep my boundaries? Am I people pleasing? Am I just giving too much? What about this is making me feel anger? And you can use those emotions as, part of your guidance system and say, okay, well, I really didn't want to do this, and I said I was going to,
Um,
so my anger is coming up, and I know that I need to have stronger boundaries around that so that I can not put myself in this position again. So it kind of leads us through. um, and I think emotions are incredibly important. It's the difference of feeling them and expressing them, but then not getting stuck within them.
right.
Allowing them to flow, allowing them to show us the lessons and the the guidance that needs to come through. um, and so many people, if they're not considering themselves spiritual, we all are spiritual. It's like
Mm.
saying, like, oh, I don't know, I don't have skin, when we all have skin.
Right.
And as far as I know, I think everyone has skin.
Everyone has skin. Yes, yes.
But, we're all spiritual beings. It's like, whether or not you choose to accept it, it's there. And it's this huge part of ourselves that we're cutting off if we're not allowing ourselves to be open to it, if we're not allowing ourselves to feel the connection and the support and the beauty that comes along with that.
Right. Here go that awareness again. See how it goes hand to hand with the spirituality?
Yes.
Because like you said, awareness. It's really spirituality is not fluff, it's just that you are more aware of your emotions. So it's not like you said, sit there and ignore everything and I have a good thoughts and I'm meditating and I'm good. Those are preventative. Those are preventative that makes you more in tune within yourself to understand, like you said, where is that feeling coming from? Why are you angry? Why are you sad? Why are you think that you're not enough? Or all of that stuff comes in because you're missing that awareness. We robotically every single day go and about our life and do things, and that's what we're missing. So what I call that a spirituality, because like you said, awareness is pretty much a spirituality. You are aware of your emotions, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's not fluff, because a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe in that stuff. So you literally saying that I don't want to know my feelings, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And so much of it is we label so much of these feelings as bad. And I've done this too, for a long time. I've always, as long as I can remember, had like this like anger inside of me. And for a long time, I tried to squish it down. Like, I tried to pretend it wasn't there. And then, really, even over the past year, I've realized, like, no, that anger is there for a reason,
Yes.
because I came here to make change. I came here to help people see, what is possible for them, to help change some of the systems that aren't working for us, and to help people break out of those prisons. And without the anger, like, the anger is a fuel. The anger
Mm.
is a fuel to see, no, that pisses me off and it's not right, and I'm going to do something about it. So there's a difference of being an angry person and having anger and using it in a way that can facilitate us all moving forward and having more positive experiences.
I literally do the same thing. I love that you said that. I literally said every time I have some type of feelings, whether it's anger or resentment, I was resentment a lot.
Yeah.
From when I spoke to you before and I told you my story of how I
Mhm.
I was resentment all the whole time I was resenting my mom, my dad, my family, my everything. But I use it as in like, okay, you have this feeling, something is wrong, you need to fix it.
Yeah.
And like you said beautifully, like anger, okay, that's an indicator that something is wrong, you need to do something about it. Not like, dwell it like, why do I feel angry? I don't want to, I'm going to shut it down and I don't want to feel angry.
Yes.
That's the worst thing you can do. But the other thing that you do is so interesting that I'm not familiar. I mean, I am, but I'm not doing it. So I want you to talk about is herbalism, like essential herbalism, things that you do to help people practice it or use it. Tell us a little bit about that.
I love plants. I love plants and flowers. And, I've been studying herbalism. Really, I started when I was a kid. Like, I remember I would save up my babysitting money and go to the bookstore and buy books on herbs or like candle magic, and then I would go to the health foods store when I could get there and buy some of the herbs and like try to like create different things with them. And I remember my sister coming to visit and she had a headache and I was like, hold on. And I went upstairs and like made her like a little thing. I think I was like 12 years old. And yeah, and so it's been something that I've always just really enjoyed. I don't ever feel like there's so much to know and so many different species of plants and ways to use them that I'm not ever sure that I would feel like I mastered it enough to be like, I'm an herbalist. And it's more of like a continual study for me. And I do it in a way that I utilize for my family. And if something comes up, sometimes I'll be working with a client and something intuitively comes through and it's like, you need to work with this. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I don't even know what that plant is for or what the specific purposes are, but it's given me a stronger connection to them and utilizing them in that way. And they're just so powerful. And I particularly have a strong love for flower essences. And those are a little bit different because it's the vibrational quality. So you have like your herbal preparations that are using actual like root, stem, leaf, typically of the plant, and you're using those either in vodka or some other carrier to make tinctures or salves or things like that. But the essences are more of a vibrational mix, and so you are working to harness and distill the healing properties of each like flower, or I've made some for like solar eclipses and things like that as well. So it's really capturing the healing and energetic frequencies of whatever you're working with.
Right. It's like almost like when you light up a stage, right? Like a sage. I didn't say it right. Sage. It's kind of people feel like that the negative energy is going away, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that you're using it. So I love flowers too, and I love herbs. I plant my own herbs, like all this mint and leaves and all the stuff. When you say that you use I use it as in this. So for example, if I know that I feel like inflated and I have inflammation, like, let's just say like that. So I would use ginger or turmeric root to boil it in the water and then drink it. So that gives me. So if my kids have something like headache or something, I'll make something out of that, like they drink or put a couple of them together. I don't have it at the top of my head. I can't tell. I use it that way. Is that really what you do?
Yes, that's perfect.
Right. So it's like a almost a Chinese medicine study. That we use all the herbs and flowers and things, not only for the aroma of it, but also for a lot of pain, physical pain in the body. Because back in the days, 100 years ago, 200, we don't have like doctors or prescription or nothing like that.
Right.
So it's I feel like it's like a trend is coming back now.
Yes.
Is that safe to say?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think so many people are really understanding and appreciating the power of our natural world and the resources that we have available to us,
right.
The traditions, like you said. Yeah, the Chinese herbs and the traditional Chinese medicine is a big school of herbalism. You know, there's the Ayurvedic, and then there's more of like the, I don't know what you would call it, but more of like the regional ones.
Right.
So yeah.
That's so beautiful. I use that all the time and I love it and I love it. And I have my rose
Mhm.
plants, just the smell of it connects you and grounds you with the universe, it's just so amazing.
Mhm.
Um, I also, before we go, I wanted to talk about the other book that you have, which I love, love, love the title. And I want you to tell us like a little bit about that. Um, we're going from herbalism to that, but when we spoke, I thought about that a lot, the title that you said, and how people can read it and use it and all that is. I just want you to talk about that book a little bit.
Okay. So I believe you're talking about Soul Warrior, accessing realms beyond the veil.
Yes, 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 yes.
And I always have so many books going. That's why I was like, which one?
That was what when you told me, I was like, I'm gonna have her introduce it because love it, love it.
Yeah. So that one I'm still pulling authors together for, and it is the women, only women so far that have come together for this are absolutely phenomenal.
Mm.
But that one is people who are working with the spirit and energetic realms, their experiences of it, you know, what has come through for them, how they work within it. You know, some are adding in like tangible steps and things like that that you can utilize, and or guidance, healing activations, things like that that have come through with working with these other realms and dimensions. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to mention it because like before we spoke before about it, that people think it's a fluff. So
Yeah.
this book is pretty much gives you a little bit of more tangible stuff that you can read and say to yourself, yeah, I relate to this. This is how I feel. This is where I am. And like you said, all the authors, like, everybody's vision and experiences in this book.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's more like for people that are like, oh, I don't know what it is. This is where you can start, just reading and learning about it as well as practicing for people that are like very strategic and they have to have everything written down, knowing what everything means. And then if it doesn't have meanings, if I don't see it, then I don't believe it. Right? Am I right?
Totally. And it's also, you know, for those people who are feeling like they are wanting to step more onto their spiritual path, or maybe they have experiences that it seems like, oh, I thought everyone felt like this, or I thought everyone experienced things like this. And maybe I'm starting to realize that they don't,
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of gives them an introduction into some of these things of like, oh, that's what I'm doing, you know. And I know, which I think I had shared with you, is for the longest time I was like, I want to channel, I want to channel, I want to channel. And then I took a class and worked with a mentor on channeling, and come to find out I'd always been channeling. I just didn't know what it looked like and what it was called. And once I realized that's what I was doing, I was able to intentionally focus on it and have more of the parameters and really hone that skill a lot stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I see it being really helpful for people who are at like all different levels of their spiritual
Journey.
spiritual journey, and or those who are just really intrigued by it, like who want to
Right.
read some awesome stories.
So before I let you go, if I'm in my car and I'm listening to you right now and I heard about the spirituality and I kind of like believe it, but at the same time I'm too busy. I don't, what are some of the tips that you have to give to people to say this is where you should start? And I'm getting overwhelmed, like, okay, I don't know where to start, where to finish. What are some things that they can do themselves to just get to that path?
That's a
You can
great
give us
question.
three, yeah.
Well, you know, first of all, it's a practice. And
Okay.
so I just need to preface by saying that it's a practice. We're all no matter how long we've been on this journey, we go back to the same practices and we get pulled off and go back. So many people get overwhelmed and think that if they're not like being fully spiritual or like present all the time, then they're not doing it right. And that's not the truth. So, you know, as far as practical steps, like really just taking time, I really encourage like, first thing in the morning when you wake up or when you're going to sleep, those kind of like in between times when you're starting to settle, to really just take some deep breaths, feel into your body, just be present. Like we are so distracted by a gazillion things in our daily lives. And I think it's like we make like 35,000 decisions a day, something crazy like that, that just taking a couple of moments a day to really just be with yourself can do wonders. I'm a huge fan of grounding. And so that in itself can be really powerful for a lot of people. And that can look as simple as, you know, just envisioning that you have roots or a cord or something coming down from like the base of your spine down into the earth, and really like feeling yourself connected in there. Or, you know, sitting by the roots of a tree, or, you know, going out. Like I always love this visualization of where, you know, if you're a kid and you walked in like really goopy, sticky mud, where like your feet are kind of get sucked in it, and you're just kind of, those are really great grounding practices. And then the third thing is just really starting to have a perspective of your actions, who you are and what you're doing. You know, it's everything starts with being able to have the awareness and the perception of how we're acting, how we're reacting, what things are serving us, what things aren't. And, you know, it goes further than that. I mean, that's a very basic way to start, but, you know, we all have choices in how we're going to react. We all have a choice of how we are choosing to feel. We all have a choice of where we're putting our energy every single day. And just becoming conscious and aware of those things so that you can start utilizing them in the way that you want to create a life that works for you.
That's so beautiful. By just listening to you, and I'm just like, you know, I was like, it's just so calming. This is so like, you know, you get like into yourself, and it's like, wow, this is a nice feeling. Just by listening to you, you know, just like this is a nice feeling. So that's itself is like one of the things that the listener should practice by just listening to you. I'm like focusing on myself, you know, I'm just like literally focusing on myself, and it's just beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, yes. So, how can we find you? Like, what do you have an Instagram? You have website, anything like that, that listener can find you and follow you, because you're an amazing person. So I really encourage them to do so.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm on Instagram at jess.verrill. And then I have two websites. One is being built, but one is jessverrill.com. And then my new one is house-indigo.com. And I have a Facebook group that I just started that is called the Indigo Initiative. So I'm also in Clubhouse. So.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Oh, fancy. Yes.
I'm everywhere.
Okay. That's great. That's great, because every platform, people are using different platforms. So I'm glad that you have a bunch of this. So whatever they feel comfortable with, you know, some people are like listening, some people like to visually see you. So all of that, I'm going to put you underneath this episode and all of your channel there. So for the listeners to find you. And Jessica, again, thank you so much for taking your time to coming over here and telling us about the spirituality and how amazing it is that to connect with yourself, to ground yourself, to be aware of yourself, and to be the best person you can be, and just showing us that road to start. No matter how old you are, no matter what stage of life you are, it's never too late to start that.
It's never too late. I know. I'm like, are we done already? Like I could talk about this for days.
I know.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot
Oh,
of fun.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.